Hello everyone, it's Lindsay and I am back with another Traveler's Notebook process video for you guys. I am continuing to use my August kit from the Wild Hare Kits and I love it. So today I'm documenting this photo of my son from our camping trip. Yes, still the same camping trip. I know I'm nearing the end of those photos just in time to head out this weekend for another camping trip. But I love this photo of him. He's got these different dead tree pieces that he's holding up like a mustache and facial hair. I don't know, I just thought it was hilarious. And so I pulled out this leaf paper. This is the palms paper from the Wild Heart collection by Crate Paper. And I love that the palms really kind of mimic the look of that like wispy pine needle thing he's holding up to his face. So I don't know. I know I've said it before. Allison knocked it out of the park with this month's kit for me. These are hand curated kits. If you're not familiar with them, I will link them down below. You can check out my unboxing video. But she did such a good job of picking products that would really work for documenting these camping photos. And she hadn't even seen the photos. So she just put together these products and it's awesome. So I'm adding in some of this wood grain paper. This is from the Flourish collection by Crate Paper, and this is the Always paper. And I just wanted to break up that dark palm paper a little bit. That photo is pretty busy. It's got a lot of texture and it's already kind of dark, and so I'm not going to be adding a whole lot of embellishments to this layout because that photo is kind of busy. And so to add some interest, I'm going to use papers and things like that to kind of break things up and bring some different colors in there. So typically I round the corners of my papers before I add them into this notebook because this notebook does have rounded corners, but I forgot. But I can just use my corner chomper and round those no problem. And then I'm going to go ahead and use this frame. Now I made the frame off camera because I wanted to test it out first, but here I'm going to show you how this punch board works. So this is the frame punch board from We Are Memory Keepers. I will link some videos down below showing how to use this punch board because it's pretty easy, but I don't go into too much detail here. But basically you cut out the paper to fit your photo and then you adjust it based off of the width of the frame that you want. So I did mine 1/4 inch. So I set those on the left hand side to 1/4 inch and then that top clear piece to 1/4 inch, and then can go through and kind of two-step work around it to get that frame cut out. And like I said, there are plenty of more in-depth videos I will link down below for you guys. This wasn't really about the punch board. I was just showing you where that frame came from. And you can save the middle piece to use to mat photos or something like that, so don't waste that paper. But the paper that I used was that wood grain paper, but I was using a scrap of it, and so I didn't have enough to completely go around that photo. So I just tried to get it as big as I could, and then I am adjusting the frame to where I'm not cutting off his arms in any weird places or anything like that. And then I'm just using a dry adhesive to adhere that down. I just love the look of that faux wood grain and creating a frame out of it. So many times the frames that come in the die cut collections are not the right size for the photos that I use in my projects. So that's kind of the nice thing about that punch board is that you can customize frames. Now, is it easier to just mat your photos? Yes, you don't need that punch board. You can just mat your photos and get a similar look without the frame, but I just thought it would be fun to play with and create a frame since it's that wood paper. I went ahead and pulled out that card there. That is from the Here and There collection by Crate Paper, and it was a cut apart sheet. And I have that fabric die cut piece that's from the Pink Fresh Studios Escape the Ordinary. And I felt like that card was just a little dark and needed to stand out from the background a little bit. So originally I pulled out this white cardstock and I was going to mat it on the white cardstock and just leave it at that. But I have that yellow label pulled out and I thought maybe I'd pull in some more of that yellow. There's a little bit of gold in that fabric die cut, and so I decided to go ahead and emboss this cardstock. So I've got a scrap piece of paper over here, and I'm just going to rub some Versamark ink, that's a clear sticky ink, on the edges of the cardstock. You don't need to cover the whole thing because this is going to just be behind that card. So just the parts that's going to be exposed, I'm covering in Versamark ink. And then I pulled out that marigold embossing powder from Ranger. I am swapping out the scrap paper. If I use the same scrap paper, when I go to apply this embossing powder, it would stick to any of the ink that's on that scrap paper and it would waste some of that embossing powder. So I do switch out that paper, and then you can see here I'm just dusting it along the edges that I had inked up. And at first this looks like a super yellow embossing powder, and so I actually hadn't ever used it, but I tested it out on another piece of paper and realized it melts into this really pretty metallic finish, so it really paired well with the elements I'd already pulled out. I'm going to go ahead and heat up my heat tool for a few seconds before I take it to the cardstock, and this does take a couple minutes to melt all that powder because there's so much on there, but once it's finished you have this really fun embossed cardstock that's got this metallic finish. It just paired really well with that yellow label that I had pulled out, and just kind of helps break up this side of the page and help that card stand out, and that card's going to act as my title for the layout. So I kind of fuss with things and then figure out where I want it, and I can start adhering things down. I don't know why these simpler layouts are so much more difficult than the ones where I just throw every embellishment at it, but I just fuss a little bit more with these simpler layouts. Now that bright blue piece I have there, that was actually a piece I created using that stamp set from Pink Fresh Studios, but the ink that I used was too vibrant. I was trying to pull that mint color out of that fabric die cut piece, and this just didn't work. And so I ended up not showing it in the video because I ended up not using that piece. Instead, I pull out some stickers from the Wild Heart collection in these cardstock stickers, and that is the same collection that that palm paper is from, so everything kind of matches. And here's where I can pull out a little bit more of that mint, a little bit of that gold and blue, and kind of start pulling in those colors around throughout the layout. So I do add some of those palm stickers behind the photo, just so it's not too plain over on this side. And I just love how that really goes well with the pieces of branches in his face. I think it's so funny. And there's that gold leaf to tie in some more gold there. And I do adhere it down so it's kind of wrapping around to the front of the photo. And then there's another fabric die cut piece that says Stay Wild. I initially thought that those were adhesive backed, but they're not. So I do use a strong liquid adhesive to adhere those down because the backside is kind of a slick material. My journaling, I went ahead and just printed on my computer and printed out on cardstock and then cut apart. And then I just used a pair of eyelash tweezers and my Zig two-way glue pen to adhere that down. Those eyelash tweezers are a staple in my craft room. I use them all the time for little delicate things like this. And I just think it's funny because that's not what they were made for. They're supposed to be in your bathroom for putting eyelashes on, but that's not what I do. I craft. So, and then that label there is something that I already had in my stash. And I'm going to spell out the word lodgepole. We're taking multiple camping trips. We're headed out again in a day or so to go camping. And so I just want to make sure I know which trip each one of these photos is from. So I'm going to spell that out there. And then I will add the date as well down there. Now these extra little bits that I cut off, don't throw those away. I tuck those into other places and get as much use out of those stickers as I can. So try to incorporate those little pieces that you cut off the edges. And that is it for the layout. So if you have any questions or comments, be sure to leave those down below. Check out the description box to links to the products mentioned. Go check out the Wild Hare Kits. They are awesome. And you can see what they got going on over there. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to my channel if you're not already subscribed. And until next time, thank you so much. Bye-bye.